Until 2021, I'd never really been to a concert before, like a real deal concert. And my first concert ended up being Japanese Breakfast and Mannequin Pussy that opened for them. And I was pretty hooked after that. And you fast forward to this past year, 2023, and I have written down at least 35 shows that I went to, live music shows that I went to this year. Um, so I thought it'd be kind of fun as another like kind of year end list kind of thing. I don't really see people really doing this too much, but I saved a lot of the flyers and tour posters from this year from the concerts and such that I went to, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to kind of reminisce on these and go over them and kind of document what I did this past year. Look back on it in the future. So I'm gonna go from the beginning of the year until up until recently, and so let's jump right in with the first show, which is in January of this past year, 2023. We have this show that was at a place called the Warehouse here in Richmond, which is kind of a DIY spot, kind of like a headquarters spot for like the hardcore and metal music scene. Techno goes on there as well, electronic stuff. One of my favorite spots in town. This happened to be the Blazing Tomb, which is a death metal band, old school death metal band here in Richmond. They got their record released pressed on vinyl of their first EP, and it was kind of a celebration. And the band Enforced is actually a pretty popular kind of like crossover thrash band from Richmond. They were there that night. They played last. And there's a band called Keisty, I think is called, and then Ulamog. I don't remember too much about Keisty, and Ulamog's from, I think they're both from like Roanoke, or I guess like Norfolk area, Virginia Beach area. But yeah, that was a fun show. Good one to start off the year for me. I think the highlight of the show was when Blazing Tomb was doing their set, and they did their whole EP, and then they decided to do the song Propaganda by Sepultura, and that was just really exciting and fun. That was exciting when they played that song. Everybody got started going crazy. The next show I ended up going to was in early February of 2023, and that was with one of my probably my favorite death metal bands. It's Artificial Brain, and they were touring. They were playing with a band called Crossspitter and Voarm. Voarm put on a very interesting act that night. With they just had like goat skulls, and just like had their faces covered, and the main guy was like out in the crowd with like paint all over his arms and hands, and was just like really intense and into it. It was pretty wild. Put on a good show. Crossspitter is just kind of a fun kind of black and death metal band. The lead guy in that band is like in like at least three other bands around here. So it's interesting. And then Artificial Brain was just exciting to see them. So I just love their music so much. The next show I've got was actually the night after this last show that I just talked about, and that was at the Warehouse, like I mentioned before, and the band Gel was touring with a band called Big Laugh. Gel's a pretty well-known hardcore band, pretty popular right now, and they played with Listless, which is probably my favorite band in Richmond. Demand, which is a hardcore band from DC. I think the guy in Demand plays with this band called Angel Dust as well. And Prime Suspect. I think I didn't quite see Prime Suspect. I think I got there a little too late. And then there's a band called Payload that was supposed to be playing, but they ended up not playing. But it was still a really fun show. I actually have some footage of Gel in a video that I posted called Hardcore Isn't Dead. Yeah, it was just a fun all around show, and it was put on by the local record store, Vinyl Conflict. So the next one I have is like my first like real like venue show concert of the year. Is I saw Angel Olsen with she was touring with a woman named Erin Ray, just kind of an alternative country folk artist. Angel Olsen still as well. She's kind of country, indie, electronic, a bunch of different little things in there. I ended up seeing that show at the National, um, and we actually ended up leaving that show early and going to this other show right here. It was Massanera, Gift from God, Terracell, Armageddon Time. Only ended up seeing Armageddon Time and some of Massanera's set, but I just kind of wanted to have that experience for that night. And I still have not caught the band Terracell. I've been wanting to see them for so long. They're a metalcore band from here in Richmond, but I just cannot seem to like line up with them. But I'll see them eventually, I'm sure. All right, getting into March now. I've got this first show with Pain Generator, Same Story, and Rotwall. So my friends and I kind of joke about this show. As Pain Generator is just a wild, kind of weird dude, and that show was just interesting. That was like the first show I really went to like with those friends at that time, and there's actually a video online apparently with me in it when Pain Generator was playing. But the band Rotwall, that was the first time I saw them. Just like experimental grindcore band. It was really cool seeing them. They're like probably kind of a little bit of a different, the only like instrument band, like traditional instruments like bass and guitar and drums. All the rest was like more electronic based. There was another guy on here. I can't you see it. It has got kind of like the periodic table like number and letters on the bottom. I can't remember what his name was, but he was just like some experimental electronic artist. And Same Story was good, more like industrial sound. And then Pain Generator just put on this like wild, intense show. Like came out into the crowd, put paint on my face. It was a weird. It kind of. I mean, I kind of enjoyed the show, but it's kind of like hysterical looking back on it now, to an extent. My friends think he's just like a complete creep, and I guess he kind of is, but it was still a really interesting show and put on a pretty good show. And there was like some like really hardcore fans there to see that guy, and it was just interesting night. So next one I have here is Soul Glow, and this was one of my favorites of the year probably. They were touring with Cloud Rat and Backslider, and the local bands Muck and Humanitarian Deficit open. Humanitarian Deficit is kind of like a screamo scrams band, and I like their stuff a lot. And this show happened at the Warehouse as well, and that was really exciting. The DIY spot and Soul Glow and them were there. That was really cool. I was so excited about that show. The band Muck is just a hardcore band from here in Richmond. Backslider is kind of like a power violence band. They put on a pretty good show. And Cloud Rat, oh my god, I really got into them. I love their music. Just really great like grindcore. And then Soul Glow. What can you say about Soul Glow? They're incredible punk band. This next show I actually went to with my sister. She came down to visit. Came up to visit. For this weekend that I went, and I was excited to take her to the show because we've been to another show together last year in December where she talked to this guy that was in the crowd, and he happened to be a member of two of these bands. So this was a really big deal here in Richmond, this show. So it was like four like exciting like hardcore bands from Richmond were playing, and then Tsunami is just like this huge, like people get so excited about Tsunami. It's like D-beat band, and like beat down hardcore, I guess I could say. So like it was just like the most packed I've ever seen that place before, the Warehouse. They were having to turn people away. People were snorting coke before the show. It was just so packed in, so hot, and people just went absolutely insane. And it was just like a big like get together of people and just having fun, honestly. And it was a good time. And my sister said she felt cool being at that show with me, so that was a good night. Next one, this is definitely in my top three favorites of the year. And that was when I traveled to Asheville to see this band called Knoll, which is kind of an experimental grindcore band I was really into in the beginning of the year, and I'm still really into them. They're a really sick band. Um, so I ended up traveling, trying to make like a little trip out of this, and I'm so happy I did it. Because got to stay in this like nice Airbnb in the mountains, and then like drove into the city by myself that night and caught this show at, like this really, there was this record store called Static Age, and it just had like like somewhat of a venue in there with it, and it just felt good that night. I don't know, it was just like, I don't know what it was, but it was really exciting. I like talked to the lead guy of Knoll, and he was just like such a nice guy. Like we were both like trying to like make sure like the merch wasn't getting knocked over because it was like right next to the pit, and people were just going insane and all over the place. But yeah, that was such a great time. And he was touring with the electronic artists, or like industrial experimental, Goddess War, I guess, kind of like Death Industrial, I'd call it. Which was, he put on a good first act there, and there was two other bands from North Carolina that played that were pretty good too, just kind of like hardcore and metal bands. All right, getting into April now. Went to this show at a place called Fallout, which is kind of like a dive bar in a place called Shockoe Bottom here in Richmond, and I like that place a lot. It was pretty cool spot. And this was called the Holy Shit Fest, and it was basically raising funds for Richmond Reproductive Freedoms Association thing, and a band called Gift from God. I mentioned them earlier. They were playing at another show. I didn't see them that night, but I ended up seeing them this night, and that was a good show. They put on a good show. It's really intense. It's like hard to like explain exactly what their music is. Kind of grindish and just like really fast, intense stuff. That's actually kind of the sister band to the band Listless. That's my favorite in the city. There's a band called Capra that played. That was a good hardcore band from, I'm not sure exactly where they were from, but they put on a good show. And Railgun, Black Classic, I think are both kind of like indie-ish bands that played. And yeah, it was a good time. And this is the night that I hopped to another show after this one. This was a pretty early show, and I knew there's another show going on later that night. And this is my first Dungeon Synth, like straight up Dungeon Synth show I've really been to, and it's the only one I've still really been to. It was just Dungeon Synth. And this is put on by a record label here in town called Death Eternal. And one of my favorite Dungeon Synth artists, really in general, from here is Obsidian, which is the first guy on this list here. And then there was Foglord. I really liked Foglord too. I got a tape from him and a shirt, and yeah, it was a good night. And then Velastres, I think that's, I don't know exactly how you pronounce that, but no, these are all from Virginia too. All these Dungeon Synth artists are from Virginia, and that was just a cool night. And just that music, I was really starting to fall in love with that music, so that really kind of pushed it even more for me. All right, and then I think this is the next weekend, another double show. I went from one show first and then to another. This first one here is a band called Towards Space. It's a local Richmond band. Kind of hard to explain what their sound is, but I went to that show. It was free. My ex-girlfriend Hannah was childhood friends with the woman in this band, and so we had been trying to see them, and they were finally playing like an earlier show, and it was free, so we went to see them, and I had a good time. Ended up seeing the whole show, went pretty quickly, and there's a band called Broke Body that played. This from Philadelphia, and then a band called Sifter. All pretty like kind of like alternative, just bringing lots of different styles of rock music. But after this show, I went to a show at the Warehouse once again. But this is a different kind of show at the Warehouse. It's a post-punk show, a kind of goth show. and it was really cool. It was like the only like really straight up goth show I've really been to either, and there was just like nobody there. It was just like so different from that other hardcore show, which was packed in with people. There was just nobody there, just people just hanging out, chilling, listening to the music. It was just really cool and interesting night. And the band Circuit, I love them. And I got a shirt from them that night, and just really fell in love with them. And the other band, Hard Copy and At Echo, were pretty good too. Hard Copy was a bit different. They're kind of like more of like a noise rock band. All right, next one is probably getting later into April here. It's a band called Juna. They were on my year-end favorite albums of the year list. They released an album this year that I really liked. And I was happy to see them, but they were originally supposed to play at the Warehouse, like it says on this flyer here, but like something was going on with the Warehouse at this time. A lot of shows were being moved around, so like the last minute they had to move to Fallout, the place I was talking about a few minutes ago, and they had to get sped up because Fallout had something else going on that night, so they didn't get. It was kind of rushed, but I still really enjoyed the show. It was fun. I was like right up on there with them, and they played with this band called Ostraka, which is like a, I think that's how you pronounce their name. I don't know exactly how you say it. They're pretty well known in the like screamo scrams verse area. They released an album this year too. I didn't really listen too much, but I really enjoyed the show they put on. It was cool seeing them. There's a band called No Man and Rid of Me, which I think No Man was a pretty solid hardcore band, and I don't remember too much about Rid of Me. It's probably similar kind of thing going on. But yeah, it was a good all around show. It was cool seeing Gina play. It's just one woman and another man, and there's a guy that plays the drums, and then she does the vocals, the guitar, and then has like this like interesting like pedal bass thing, which is really cool how she played all these things together at once. I was really impressed with that. Bought CDs from them when they came, so that was cool. Good show all around. All right, right at the end of April now, we have Obituary, the classic Florida death metal band, came to town. I had seen them. This was announced early in the year, and I bought tickets like as soon as I found out about it. I was excited. And they were touring with another classic death metal band called Immolation, and Blood Incantations is a more kind of modern, like kind of like cosmic death metal band. And there's a band called Ingrown that was like kind of a hardcore band. And this is at the Canal Club, so there's like two levels to the Canal Club. This is on the upstairs, bigger part Canal Club. And I really didn't love this show that much. I wasn't feeling the vibes. Ended up leaving early. Didn't even see Obituary play. I just wasn't that excited about it. But it was just a room packed with like sweaty metalheads. And I mean, I've been to shows like that before, but it was just like too many people. It was like, I mean, I understand it was kind of a big deal for people, but I just was not that into it. It was just wasn't feeling it that day. But yeah, I mean, it was still cool if they were here and whatnot. So, all right, right at the beginning of May here, I think this show was on like a Wednesday night, so I ended up leaving early for this show too. But I ended up seeing the bands I really wanted to see, which was good. You see, you have Gift from God again, which I did not see perform this night because I left early. But Blind Girls, the screamo band from Australia, was here, and they were on my 2022 year-end list for favorite albums of the year of that year, and that was really exciting to see them. And ended up buying a shirt from them that night and from the band Listless, which I talked about Listless already, but I love that band. And then Humanitarian Deficit was there that night as well. And there was a band called Heavenly Blue, which I did not see either that night. This was going on at a place called Gallery 5. I do have some footage of Blind Girls performing, so I don't know if I still have the footage on my saved, but I might upload that in the future. I'm trying to upload some of my stuff so I can delete some of the footage, just to have it out there. Not sure if people really like seeing live shows and stuff, but yeah. And the next one, this is a bit different for me. It's a lot different than everything else that was on here, really. And so I went to see Taylor Swift for the Eras tour. My ex-girlfriend Hannah, she huge Taylor Swift fan, definitely a Swiftie. And we traveled to Philadelphia and saw her on the last night there on a Sunday night, because she was doing the 3-day weekend kind of things. This was kind of a home show for Taylor too, I think, because this was the closest city to her growing up. So it was a pretty cool. I actually enjoyed it more than I was expecting to. She put on a good show. Phoebe Bridgers opened up. There's another artist that opened too, but we didn't catch that first artist. But yeah, my ex was really into it. She dressed up and everything. It was a fun night, and yeah, it's like I said, I enjoyed it more than I expected to, and the show is somewhat impressive, but not really my favorite kind of shows. It's just like not personal at all. It's just like this massive stadium, and can't even really see the person that well. But it was still a pretty good time. And then just this next weekend after this Taylor Swift show, I went and saw another kind of pop show. It was Caroline Polachek, with touring with an artist called Ethel Cain, which is a very interesting artist too. Um, this was at the Anthem in DC, so we traveled to DC to see her, and had a good time. Caroline put on a good show. Me and my ex were really into that album, her album that released this past year. Just really into her in general, so it was exciting for us, and yeah, had a good time, and I have some footage on my channel as well if you want to go back and look at 2 songs I recorded Caroline performing that night. All right, and then I think this was like the weekend after Caroline was a band called Inner Arma was playing. It's a local kind of like post black metal band, I guess they call them. And they're with this band called Jarhead Fertilizer, and then this power violence band called Suppressions from Richmond that's been around for a while, since like the 80s or 90s, I think. And I have a friend that was really into Jarhead Fertilizer, so he was there that night, and they like had to like really maneuver themselves into the shows. They like sold out. It's like another like show that was going on in town got canceled that night, so everybody flocked to this show at this place called Copacabana. Um, and it was it's kind of like outdoor venue, patio area, and a lot of shows go on there. But in general, it was a good show for sure. I enjoyed it. Doesn't really stand out as one of my favorites this year, but it was still pretty good. Next show I have here was just a week before my birthday actually. The band Knoll that I'd seen earlier this year came to Richmond, and they were touring with a band from DC called Nomos, and a band called Black Matter Device opened for them, and a band called LCTR, I think was the name of that band. I can't remember, but I enjoyed Black Matter Device a lot. They're kind of like a mathcore band. Um, so that was cool to see them, and then Noel's performance was good. It just like it was towards the end of the tour this time, so it just didn't have that same kind of feelings as the last time, but it was still good to see them again. And I ended up not staying for No Moss. I kind of just wanted to see Noel. Um, and there was like a whole big like conflict here with this show. The band Idols was in town that night, and I honestly wish I would have gone to the Idols show. Like I had tickets, ended up selling them because I wanted to see Noel, and I don't know. I really wish I would have seen Idols instead. It was kind of like a big deal. They just like had put 2 tour dates on, just Philly and Richmond, and they were playing at the National. It was sold out. I'm sure it was just really exciting. I should have gone to that, but there's nothing I can do about that now. So, but yeah, it was still good to go to that show, and I saw one of my friends there that night, so that was good too. This next show was actually a free show, which was pretty exciting. This is one of my favorites of the year. I'd say it sticks out. Probably, definitely the top 10. This is good put on by the record label Death Eternal here in town. This at kind of like a brewery place in this area called Carytown here in Richmond. And you can see the Dungeon artist Obsidian played again. I loved it. It's a band called Parasite Sentence. just kind of like a goth, like um, kind of industrial artist, and they're always fun to watch. Usually put on a good show. And Tharmeza Guzan, I think that's how you pronounce the name, a black metal band from Pittsburgh. Um, they put on a good show as well. The full decked out face paint. One of the members of the band complimented me on my Dead Can Dance shirt that I was wearing that night. I remember that because he said he'd been to that cemetery in France with the statue that's on the front of that album cover. Um, so that was cool, and I bought a book of like spooky fiction, like weird fiction, from the one of the guys in the band had written a short story that was in that collection, and I thought that was cool and unique, something different, and he gave me like a free tape of some stuff that he had done, and yeah, that was pretty cool. And then the band Serpent Shrine is a black metal band from here in Richmond, so that was another solid show that was going on. It was cool. It was free. Didn't have to pay anything to go to that, so that was exciting. That was the only show that I went to in July, I guess, because I was just not into it in the middle of the summer. It's just like some of these venues just so hot, and just I guess there wasn't a lot going on that I was excited about. So the next month, in August, went to see Death Grips. I made a video talking about going to the show, and it was a weird kind of situation. I was planning on just not even going. I wasn't that excited about it. I was trying to sell my ticket online, and didn't feel like traveling and spending money to go up there. But then my friend at the last minute said, like, oh, like, hey, my girlfriend and I are like excited to like kind of want to go see Death Grips. Are you still interested in going to see them? They still have tickets available. I said, yeah, I guess so. That'd be cool. And then we ended up like traveling up there, staying the night, and seeing the show. I kind of wish we would have just gone up there and then come back that same night, but it worked out fine. Came back that next day, went to the water park with my girlfriend at the time. So that was a good experience. Didn't love the show that much. You can watch that video if you want to know more of why I didn't love it that much. But yeah. Then like, it looks like a week later, I guess, or yeah, I guess it's a week after the Death Grip show, JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown were touring here, and they actually came to Richmond and went to the National. They had a group, electronic artist, like DJ, Dave, that opened for them, and she put on a good show. I enjoyed that. Kind of cool, just like this like programming up on the screen, and it was cool. I enjoyed that. And JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown, what can you say? I mean, I just love JPEG Mafia so much. It was just so good to see him again. I was so excited just to see him again. I kind of wish I would have traveled last year to see him when he was touring with Turnstile, but ended up not doing that. It was cool before you knew JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown were about to come on the stage, because they started blasting Britney Spears' "Hit Me Baby One More Time," and it was just so exciting, honestly. And I actually have footage of Peggy's solo set from that night, so I might upload that eventually too, if I'm just like a gap in there of not making videos. But yeah, this just great all around show. My friend was supposed to meet me there that night. He was supposed to come with me. We ended up having like a bat in his house, and it was just like a whole fiasco, and he didn't end up making it. So I ended up staying myself, and I still had a good time. All right, and then in September, I think this show's gonna be a little bit hard for me to talk about, honestly, but went to see Death Cab for Cutie, the Postal Service, touring the 20th anniversary tour. I've talked about on this channel the Postal Service album, how special that was to me and my ex-girlfriend, and how we bonded over that album a lot. And we broke up recently. If you've been watching my channel, you know about that. and I've really been struggling with that. But so that was really exciting that they were doing that 20th anniversary tour. So I was like really hoping from when I got into that album that they were gonna do that, and then me and Hannah could go and see that, and ended up happening. And um, unfortunately, a month later, Hannah ended up breaking up with me. But I was still happy we had the experience. I guess it didn't feel like 100% right for some reason. Something was kind of weird in the air that night for me, but it was still great to be there with her and experience that. We ended up getting pretty good seats, and just like the Postal Service, like that music just hits me so deeply. And like I've said before, I don't know if I'll ever be able to listen to that album again. It just hits me way too hard. But I had that experience. That was at the Meriwether Post Pavilion, which was at it's in Maryland, in between like DC and Baltimore, and it was a cool spot for sure. Definitely was worth going to that, and I'm glad I got to experience that. We'll see if they tour in the 30th anniversary. All right, and then towards the end of September here, well, I guess this was actually mid-September. This is like right after that the Postal Service show. I got back to town that weekend. I think there was actually a show the night before that on Friday that I was gonna go to. Trap Pile was here, but I was just like done, and I knew I wanted to go to some shows the next night, so it was just like it would have been a lot. But I went to this Vinyl Conflict with a record store here in town, my favorite record store, I'd say. They put on an anniversary show, and they just had like a bunch of different hardcore band stuff there. But I ended up seeing them all, which I love that group so much. It's like an electronic punk duo, and oh god, it was so great. And I saw like one hardcore band and ended up leaving and going to this other show that I knew was going on at this place called Hell's Door. This is a band called Rotwell I had talked about earlier, and they had played earlier in the year. It's an experimental grind band, and there's a band called Middle Earth that I ended up seeing that night. They were from North Carolina, kind of another grind band. And Wormosis I did not see. I got there a little too late for that. But Hell's Door is a wild place, really cool spot. It's like under a bridge here in Richmond. I've talked about it on this channel some before, and if you're interested in seeing like footage from both of those shows, I did do kind of like a vlog video that day, and it's on my channel. It's called A Day in and Around Richmond, Virginia. So definitely check that out if you want to see some stuff from that day. I'm glad I documented that. That was really cool. Got some cool footage that night. Next, towards the end of September now again, I went to this show with Scowl, Military Gun, MS Paint, and Daisy. Ended up seeing Daisy. I didn't know Daisy was going to be performing. It's kind of like a alternative and kind of pop punk musician, and it was kind of a fun set. But the whole reason I went to the show that night was to see MS Paint, and I saw MS Paint and I left. But two of my good friends were there, and it was good to talk to them for a bit, and just good to see MS Paint. And so I was very satisfied with it, even though I had to like pay like $30 for a ticket to go to this show and ended up staying with the whole thing. But it was worth it for me. I had a good time. This next one, right at the end of September, get to see Soul Glow again. They came back to town very quickly, and they're actually going to be in town again in like April of next year with Mannequin Pussy, which is exciting. I'll probably end up going to that show too. But this time they were at the Canal Club at the downstairs section, which I like more than the upstairs section. They were playing with a band called Zulu and Playtime, which are both very solid hardcore bands. Soul Glow ended up going second, which is great. I did a video talking about them and has some footage from that if you want to learn more about that concert and how that experience was for me that night. Alright, getting into October, this was a pretty exciting show put on by Death Eternal, once again, the record label here in town. This is just like a straight up black metal show, and people were excited about this. I was happening in this place called Banditos, which a lot of cool shows go on at Banditos. Um, a lot of shows that this record label puts on happen at Banditos on Saturday nights a lot, which is cool. This is really solid. It's a bunch of wild, intense black metal, extreme music going on this night. And it's kind of like a rare occurrence for all these bands to be here. And black metal's a bit more rare, I guess, to other genres. Um, so that was a really cool show, and I was there. One of my friends was there, and we had a good time looking through music. People, there's like record labels there, like selling their stuff, and it was just a good time. But I think it's kind of like traumatic me thinking back to that night, just because that ended up being the weekend before my girlfriend broke up with me, and so that was like towards the end there, and a lot of that time's kind of traumatic for me, I guess, in a way. Um, this next one is probably probably say is my favorite show of the year. Just like this was happened after my breakup, but this is the first show post breakup. But it was probably the best I had felt since I gotten broke up with. I just felt so great this night, especially because of this show. Just like how music can make me feel so good, and that's why I love music so much. Just really proved it that night, and so um, Bastard Noise was this was like a big deal that he was here, like an old school, like from back in the day, like one of the original like noise power electronic artists, and it was pretty wild. There wasn't a ton of people there, but it was like it's just like this different type of music people aren't as excited about, but it was a big deal that he was there. I kind of wish I would have gotten this poster. He had like a cool poster that he made for that night, but um, let's go over the first band was Black Button. I'd never seen them before. They're from Richmond, and I really enjoyed just like the show they put on. It just was pretty like straight up kind of punk music, but I don't know. It was just like I just really enjoyed watching them perform that night. And then the band Listless played, and I was like, oh man, I just know how much I love that band. My favorite in town. I have footage of that. That's what I'll probably put up very soon. From that show, finally recorded a whole set by them. Been wanting to for a while, so I will put that up soon. And then Triac, which is a very like like looked up to grindcore band, and they just went off and just wild, fast, intense stuff. Is just wild to see them. Just how fast people can play music, play the music like that is so crazy. So that was really cool. And then Bastard Noise. Just it was wild. Like just like that music is just so like terrifying sounding to me. It's just like really like horror music, I guess is what it sounds like to me. And some people, there was some woman there that was just like so into it. It was wild. Like somebody you'd see like reacting to like somehow somebody would with like extreme like metal music, just like putting their hands up in the air and like just like really like into it. It was pretty wild. I'd never like seen somebody react to music that way, that type of music that way. So it was really interesting to me how it can like click in people's heads like that. Just music affects people in different ways. Like I was like kind of like back in the corner, like slightly terrified that my whole body was like vibrating with intensity. But it was just really it was a cool time, and I was there with one of my close friends as well, and so that was just it was good to just just realize that like the world's not over. I still have things that I love, and it really just showed that to me that night. So it was just such a great time. This next show is just like a week after that, I believe. This is I talked about Parasite Sentence before. Um, I ended up there's a like electronic artist called Clary Sage ended up performing at the show too. It was kind of like it was a free show again, put on with Death Eternal, and it was kind of like a secret location where you had to like ask for the address, and he gave me the address, kind of just some like one of the people's bands like house, and so it was a cool little house show. Just like people got together and just kind of like hung out in the kitchen and like watched the show happening in the living room. It was pretty cool. I had a good conversation with the guy of Death Eternal that night, and it was all around just felt good. I got there a little late because I had gone to a Halloween party with some other friends before that at this cool house, which is pretty exciting, right by the cemetery. So that was just a cool night. Good Halloween vibes going on there. And we're getting pretty close to the end here. We're into November now with the show, another Death Eternal show. I was excited about, all electronic show. Basically, is have Obsidian's the Dungeon Synth artist. Saw him 3 times this past year. Probably could have seen him 4 times, but I missed this one show. That was happening during the summer. Then there's this artist called Fleshing Machine, which I've really enjoyed his set. Just because it's like industrial, like intense vocals and just running around the stage, and had a really just a cool sound. I really enjoyed that. And then there's R Complex. I ended up not seeing because they ended up playing last, and I had seen him once before, and just a really cool industrial noise artist from here in Richmond. And then there's this guy from Massachusetts called The Oracle, who's kind of like dark ambient noise, and he just like had like the black metal face paint on and like a cloak, and it was really interesting. And it had a good show, had a good time. The Oracle definitely blew my eardrums out, even with earplugs in. Like the sound was insane that night, but still pretty good time. Then I have this show, which was another, probably up there as one of my favorites of the year as well. This band called Torment. It's kind of like a hardcore metal band here in Richmond. Had a record release show at this place called Swingers, a house show, secret house here in Richmond where shows happen. There's this band that went first called Death Mask. Did not get to see them. We got there kind of late. I went there with one of my friends, and we kind of like got stuck at the front doors. Like there was a crowd of people in there already. We ended up sneaking in there after that, and it says this band Olmog was there, but they ended up not showing up, and like a noise, like electronic artist went instead, and it was pretty good. Not my favorite noise artist I've seen, but it was still pretty good. And then there's this band called Restrictor Plate that played, and everything just went nuts when these people went on. Like, it really got people going hardcore. The lead guy in this band is in Parasite Sentence as well, and it was just really fun. Just people were going absolutely insane. It's like one of the most like violent shows I guess I've been to. People just like going around, just like hitting each other, like punching each other, and just like ramming like crazy. And I was like all up in the heat. I ended up getting some battle scars from just being around the crowd, and but it was a fun time. It was wild seeing people going crazy, and there was like a chandelier hanging down, and it was just poor spot for it, like in this like dining room area, and people would be going down swinging and just like smacking their hands on that thing. It was just insane, and everybody was getting bloody noses. There was just blood all over the floor and shit, and they had to like clean up the floor between sets. It was wild. And I remember there was like this like intense like emo goth couple that showed up, and they just looked so cool, man. I just wanted to talk to them. They like were like out of town and like saw the show was going on, and like I like think about, I'm never gonna see these people again. It sucks. But they had like the like straightened hair, like, and just like piercings and stuff, and like just the super tight fit clothing and black clothing. So it was so cool, man. Like want to know more people like that. But yeah, that was just a fun night, man. And I really was happy I went to that show as well. Alright, getting to December. So last 2 shows here. I've been going on for a while, I know, but hopefully if you're interested, you can hang in there with me a little bit. I'm having fun talking about this. So got this show that happened at the Warehouse. Angel Dust used to have some members from Turnstile, so it was kind of a big deal. Angel Dust was here at this DIY spot as well. And they played with a band called Candy, which is a intense metal band here in Richmond, hardcore band. And Daisy played there again, and Wasted Space is a hardcore band here in Richmond as well. And Angel Dust put on one hell of a show. I was really impressed. There's like the lights going around and everything, and people were just going crazy, and it was really really fun. Had a great time that night, and I went with my friend to that show as well, and we had a really good time. All right, and here's the last show on here that I went to. I actually posted a video, 10 minutes of death metal. It's a show with Left Cross, Witch Vomit, and Plague Fever. I recorded some of the performance of Witch Vomit, which that death metal video is. If you want to check that out, Plague Fever was kind of fun. It was the guy I talked about, a band called Crossbitter earlier, and the lead guy from that is in this band as well. And he was just like he's like such a goober. It's just kind of fun. I remember one part of the show, he's like in between, they're like kind of like tuning their guitars and stuff, and he just like starts talking this black metal voice, and he's just like, gonna go into a church and knock everything over. Like, it was just so funny, like just like the like whole like anti-Christian thing and fuck churches and all that. It's just like the whole like premise of it. It's just, I don't know, it was just funny to me. And then Left Cross, brutal like death metal, kind of like even like war metal ish. The sister band to Antichrist Siege Machine, if you know of them, the bestial black metal band that's from here in Richmond. Fairly well known in the underground at this point. Yeah, that's the last show I really had been planning on going to this year. Not really anything coming up that I'm planning on going to at the moment. I guess I still have kind of like a little bit less than a week left. I still have another weekend of this year left, but probably not going to be going to anything else. But there are some shows already I'm looking forward to at the beginning of next year, and I already have shows for the next like 3 months ahead now, so it's very exciting. I love going to see live music, and yeah, been really into it. It's just like a community of people, and it's been really fun. Yeah, let me know like what shows you guys have gone to, and yeah, thanks for watching this video, and let me know what you think, and let me know if you want me to put some of this footage up online, and yeah, I'll probably do it anyways, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, I encourage everybody to try to find their kind of underground music scene. So there's usually shows going on in most major cities. I'm sure there's stuff going on. So it's really fun. You can like meet people and have a good community of people that come together for music, and that's why I've really been loving about it so much. And I'm excited to keep going to these things into the future, and getting out there and experiencing these things. Yeah, so once again, thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys liked it, and see you guys next time, and shout out to Steve Wallace.